Hey everybody, welcome to Prop Live, our weekly show. We are here to take your prop and costume making questions and answer them so that you too can be prop and costume wearing superstar. This week we have another fine guest, another friend of mine that I just saw at DragonCon. His name, everybody, is Ben Moon. Hey Ben, how's it going?
You know, you find me doing well, sir.
Yes, Ben. You got a pretty rustic looking room there. What do you got behind you?
I just moved into my new house. We got that upgrade, you can see, and this here is about to be my workbench. And I've never had a workbench because I've made all my costumes in a guest room in a condo or apartment. So it's time for the upgrades.
That is a very exciting upgrade. Is that a garage?
This is my garage.
So how much of the, like, how many, is it a two-car?
Two-car garage.
And how many cars worths are being allocated to shop space?
1 car's worth, sir. My car will forever be outside.
That's about not here, but our previous shop space was 1 port in a 2-car garage. That's how Punish Props got started.
Boom.
Cool. So you're building a shop tonight, or a shop bench tonight. That's exciting.
Yes.
Do you have any other really cool upgrades, new tools, or anything?
I do, in fact. As a matter of fact, I was telling you, we were playing PS4 the other night, and I was telling you that I have power tools, like bench power tools, in the box, taped, unopened, like, and I've literally had them for like 3 years. So I'm going to. This is an 8-foot-long workbench, so I will be able to put all of my bench tools on it. I've got a drill press, a belt sander, scroll saw, a couple other things. So they will all be able to fit. It'll be wonderful.
Perfect. And then you'll say, "Oh well, now I have room for a whole bunch of new stuff," and you'll go and you'll buy more.
No, I already have a list. No, there's a list. There's a list. But this thing is great because I'll be able to like walk on it and dance on it just in case.
Just because I have a similar, I have 3 4-foot sections that I built that I'm on right now. That's where my thing is. But we've expanded. We have that table right there. Very nice.
Yeah.
We have a rolling table thing right there.
Yeah.
And then I have my X carve is on its own table. I have another table for sanding tools. I have another table over there for more sanding tools. Then,
so would you say there's a lot of sanding that happens in this?
A whole lot of sanding. And then we've reappropriated the WM Armory section of the shop since we'll move back to LA.
All right.
And that's all for molding and casting over there. So you can never have too much bench space.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, I'm excited for you. I'm really excited to see what you're going to be able to churn out with the new arrangement there.
Oh, dude, it's gonna, like, my game, because before, you know, there were factors that would keep me from making, you know, I just wouldn't feel like going and sitting on the floor for an hour or two. Now I can stand up and make stuff. So like an hour or two a night, I go in and work. It'll be great. So I hopefully should pump out more stuff.
Very, very good. What do you have any bigger projects that you're looking forward to tackling?
Yes, I have a list, and I've kind of narrowed it down to 2. The first 2 that, well, 2.5. Well, and so the half is I'm going to make a Slim Jim lightsaber. So 3-foot-long Slim Jim in the package. So because I'm going to be Macho Man Jedi. You know,
of course you are. Yeah.
Well, and I'll tell you why, because, like, you know, you go to DragonCon and you see costumes that you like, and I always get like a big kick out of the guys that do Randy Savage, because they're like, people will yell at them across the way. They'll be going up the escalator, and people will be like, "Oh yeah," he'll do the thing, and it's great. It's a lot of fun. So I thought, you know, I want to mash it up, so we'll do that. And I really want to make a Slim Jim lightsaber. So
who doesn't? Yeah.
All right. So that's what. But the 2 big ones are going to be, there's these like the samurai. There's these Star Wars samurai figures sold in Japan, and they're bringing them over to US. And I want to do a stormtrooper. Well, I have a clone trooper, so I'm going to like modify my clone trooper and add foam parts to it, and so it can have I can have like a samurai clone. I think it'd be fun. And then hey, look at you.
Yeah. So hey, check that out. Something like one of those guys.
It'll be something very similar to that. Won't be identical. It'll be something because those have nipples, and I'm not about that really, but they look awesome.
Yeah. That's a little feminine looking on the old chest piece there.
It is. So it'll have the masculine, very like the chest of the animated clone, which is what I have. And so it's very like sharp angles and very like heroic looking. So I'll take that chest piece. I'll add the other stuff. It'll be really great. And then the big one, the big like showpiece will be hopefully a Cabal from Destiny. So
oh my goodness,
that's what I'm really like. That's the one I'm probably gonna focus on the most for the next year. So
that's good. That's good because you'll need a large part of your shop just to keep it in a space because it'll take up a lot of space.
Yeah, and that's the first time I've ever made like a very large form costume where there'll probably be like space between the armor and my body, and so it'll be a learning curve a little bit, but I think it'll be fun. So
yeah, definitely. Now that'll be one you'll probably want to take to DragonCon.
Yeah, oh yeah, and honestly, like I really only go to one con a year. I mean, I got 2 kids and I've got a limited budget, so.
So do you end up driving there?
Oh yeah, I drive. I drive by myself. I have a Suburban, it's a company car, so I can load it up with everything, and then.
Perfect.
Yeah. So there's a couple other cons, local cons that I want to go to, like Conuga, and there's Anime Weekend Atlanta, which is a little bit smaller con. And then MomoCon. A lot of stuff in Atlanta.
Yeah, totally. Speaking of DragonCon, you were there. I was there.
It was great.
How is DragonCon this year?
Yeah, I think you and I agree. Best DragonCon ever.
Yep, it was there. Yep, totally. How many photos did you take? That's what I want to know.
Okay, so I ended up taking like 1,500, but yeah, but I narrowed it. Narrow it down to the good ones because I take multiple ones, and so I think I had like 250 or something like that.
Oh, that's a good haul. For those of you guys that don't know, Ben is always there with his tripod and a remote camera, dragging it around so that he can be in all the photos with all the costumes, which I think is a great idea.
It works. I've had this set up for I guess 3 or 4 years now, and I come away happy with the photos. So it's a lot of fun. You can see that I'm very happy to be there.
Oh, certainly. I have you listed in my notes as Ben Moon, the most excited man at DragonCon.
Well, okay, so why would you say that this year was the best? Because I mean, I have reasons, but what are your reasons?
Mostly for me is I had my expectation level was appropriate, and I slept in every day, which turns out a huge factor. Getting plenty of sleep for me made a huge difference, and then I made sure I got to see all the people I wanted to see, and then when we weren't trying to get somewhere, we would just throw on a costume, go down to the Marriott Atrium, and just hang out. Yeah. And inevitably run into a dozen people that we know.
Yeah.
And it was just like that every single day.
Yeah. That was great. Like I don't know. I've never been to a panel at DragonCon. I've never met like a celebrity except for like just in passing. And so I always get to see just about everybody. I didn't get to see everybody I want to see this year, but just about everybody. And the Destiny photo shoot was a highlight for me too. All the Destiny photo shoots were great. It was just a great group, and then there was a lot of partying too, because like I had my I have a suitcase boombox, and we do Darth Punk and dance, and anytime there's dancing and music, like just in the floor, like just happening anywhere, like that's DragonCon, man.
That's pretty great. Awesome. Well, I'm excited about next year's already.
Oh yeah. Do you have a big project for next year?
Not yet. I have to figure out. I have BlizzCon in a month, and then I have a handful of other conventions, and then I have San Diego for next year, and then BlizzCon or DragonCon. I have a lot in between now and then.
People bring the A game to BlizzCon, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's some awesome costumes that come out of there.
Yeah. Cool. But while we are about to get ready to start taking questions from you guys watching at home, I want to remind everyone that if you're watching live, if you go to the event page, there's the Q&A app. You can submit questions there. We'll start diving into those. Before we get started, I do want to show everyone what we've been working on. My lovely wife Brittany and I have been making molds, and here's a big one. Yay! So this is a matrix mold of a helmet. So that the jacket, the gray is a rigid jacket that comes apart into 3 pieces, and the pink is silicone. And we cast liquid plastic in there, and we get a piece like this. Ta-da! And this is a hollow mask from bleach. And it's hollow, and you can put it on your head. And that is how you mold. That's what we've been working on. The helmet has 2 horns, and they are not identical, so we had to make a mold for each of those. And it's got a jaw piece. So we've made 4 molds this week. And some of the molds we made twice.
And now on those matrix molds, you don't have to get tired arms from like slushing it around, right?
I don't have a slush casting machine, so it's a lot of this when you have your resin in there.
Okay. So you do have to get the tired arms.
You do, yeah. I've done 2 of these already, and my arms are feeling the burn.
Why are my arms tired?
Yes. That's it. That's all we've been working on this week, is just making a bunch of molds. But they're done. All the molds are done, and we're casting copies now. So we should have a finished helmet here in just a couple days. Look forward to that.
Cool.
Ben is working on his old his bench back there. Hey, Ben, you ready to take some questions?
Hey, let's take some questions, buddy.
Let's do this. Joseph wants to know, do you ever have a problem with small debris or bugs landing on a freshly painted project and getting stuck? What do you do about that?
Yeah.
You ever get bugs in your paint, Ben?
I live in the South, man, of course.
We have cat hair. That's our major problem.
Oh. How do you handle it? I usually just sand it out and repaint it.
If I will let it dry, it sucks, but you got to let it dry all the way. Yeah. Sand it down, and paint it again.
Yep.
If you want to avoid that, then you can try screening in your painting area, maybe. I don't know, but we don't get bugs down here, so I don't have to worry about it. Our painting area has a plastic door, like a sheet, like a tarp, hanging from the ceiling, so that hopefully nothing gets in there. But occasionally, some cat hair travels all the way downstairs somehow. It gets on something I just painted. There you go, Joseph. You have some work ahead of you. Sorry to tell you.
Patience. Let it dry.
Let it dry. Next one comes from Matthew. He says, you recently posted a picture where you used something called Plasti-Paste. Can you tell me about it? Yeah. You ever use Plasti-Paste, Ben?
No.
Nope. All right, I'll handle this one. So Plasti-Paste is what they call a trowelable plastic. It's made by Smooth On. We will put a link to it in the show notes. There are 2 different kinds, Plasti-Paste and Plasti-Paste II, Electric Boogaloo. The Plasti-Paste II, I believe, is a slightly different formula that has a higher heat resistance, and it can be painted. So it depends on what you're using it for, but I use it to make really fast mold jackets. So, for example, here's one right here.
Is it expensive?
It's not too expensive. It's this hard shell on the outside. Inside of here, it's hard to tell, but inside of there is a pink silicone mold. I did the silicone first, and then I brushed this on top of it to make a hard shell around it. It's pretty good stuff. This mold jacket is all epoxy and fiberglass cloth. This is a lot better, but it's more expensive and a lot more time consuming. So you got to weigh your options between what you need and how much time you have, and what your budget is. For those, for the other mold there, it was just much quicker to lay out a bunch of Plasti-Paste, and I also already had a lot of it on hand, and I needed to use it. So that was my inspiration. Plasti-Paste, we'll put a link in the show notes.
Plasti-Paste.
There you go. The more you know.
Bang, 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 bang.
Alrighty, this next one here is from Daniel. He wants to know, on average, how many pieces do we produce per month, and how does that compare to when you were still working a full-time job? So Ben, you mostly do costume stuff, yeah?
Yep.
How many costumes do you knock out in a year, you think?
Usually 3.
I think that's a good amount. That's a reasonable amount of costumes.
I feel like it.
And that's about what I did when I had a day job. But now that I do this for a living, it really depends on what jobs I have. So for this helmet, Brittany did all the sculpting on the helmet pieces, and we've been molding them together. It's for one finished piece, one finished helmet, and that's off and on about a month worth of work to get that helmet knocked out. But we're working on other projects at the same time, so it really depends on how big the project is. So, for example, that District 9 gun I did, that took all month. That took 21 days. It took me to put that thing together. If I was building something smaller, I could knock them out faster. So, really depends. There are a lot of factors. Thank you, Daniel. Let's see here. Next one comes from Motive Props. He says he needs to mask off a rounded edge piece on a smooth surface for paint and was wondering how you would do that to get clean lines and no bleed through. Did you paint that Stormtrooper helmet you've got there?
Yes.
So what'd you do to mask all that?
Well, when I did it, I painted it before I put in any of the LEDs or anything like that. And so I really didn't have to mask a whole lot on that guy. I mean, the whole thing is just spray painted with that chrome spray paint.
Right.
If I do, I mean, like, I always do the painter's tape, and I just go little bit by little bit. Like, if I have to make like a curve, so like on my chest piece for my Destiny costume, it's got the Queen's Guard symbol on it, right?
Yeah.
And so I printed it out on 11 by 17 paper or whatever it is, and taped it down, and then I just did the painter's tape around it a little bit. Like you have to make that curve just little bit by little bit. Like it takes a while, and you got to put in the work.
So just like individual strips of paint tape that eventually made a curve.
Yeah, literally like 1/2 inch to 1 inch long pieces of painter's tape to make the curve.
Yeah.
And it's just you just have to do. It's kind of tedious, but if you do it and you put the time and attention into it, it'll look good.
Yeah. You can. There's a lot of different types of masking tape that you can get as well. Some of them that are actually let me just do this. So I'm attached to my headphones because there we go. So this is Scotch tape. They make a delicate surfaces version that's a little bit nicer than this, and then this is FrogTape. Let's see here. Again, delicate surfaces. This is pretty good stuff. But you can get, Tamiya makes some. Actually, we'll have to find a link to that. But Tamiya makes masking tape that's really good and really flexible, so you can do curves with it. But it's thin. It's just for doing the edge. So you would mask out your curved edge with that, and then cover the rest of your piece with a wider masking tape. So expand your masking tape horizons.
I actually need to expand because I have masking tape and painter's tape, but I need to expand my repertoire.
Yeah, look up the Tamiya stuff, and this frog tape is pretty good. You want a thinner, this is pretty thick, but a really thin tape you can get better curves with, and this stuff is available at the hardware store. The Tamiya stuff usually you can find at hobby stores too.
That's actually a really good question though, because you see these like these nice paint jobs or these nice symbols that are logos that people do on their costumes. You're like, how do they get that? And it's there's nothing glamorous about it. It's just like 1/2 inch, 1 inch pieces of tape all put together.
Yep.
And it's funny how that is. It's like sometimes it's not some glamorous, expensive option. It's just this cheap thing that you put a lot of time into to get it to look right.
Cool. Thank you for the question, Motive Props. This next one here comes from Volta. Let's see here. Oh, he wants to know how I made the undersuit for my Destiny costume. He's curious if there are any tutorials. He wants to make one for his Batman versus Superman Batfleck Power Armor.
Oh yeah, love that costume, by the way.
Yes. So a couple of things. My Shaq's costume is all athletic clothing. For the pants, I was wearing tactical pants, which are just like cargo pants. And then the shirt is an Under Armour shirt, and that is it. That's all I did. I could have stenciled and painted on them, but I didn't because I ran out of time. So that's a very low-tech solution for that. What did you do for your Destiny undersuit, Ben?
Yep, so the pants are actually $12 white scrubs from Walmart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the shirt is a Quicksilver surfing shirt off of Amazon for like, I think it was $17. And then I added weathering with watered down acrylic paint. I used primarily grays and blacks because I wanted it to look like I had been on the moon. And it came out okay. And then for the cape, I actually watered down the gray and took a foam brush and then just slung it like different ways. So it looked like alien blood got slung on my cape.
Gross.
Yeah, alien blood.
Yeah, another good option too, just go to Amazon and look up paintball shirts. And a lot of these look like armor. Like, holy crap.
Huh.
There's some really cool options. A lot of them are tactical colored. Like, look at this. It's freaking sweet.
Oh, dude, that's cool. I like that it has texture to it, and that's cool. Oh, and another thing, if you want to just have that texture and you want to block out that logo, you can actually just take a thin piece of craft foam and then hot glue it and stick it to it, and it usually won't come off. And you can, and it'll, if it's black, let's say it's a black shirt, it'll look like it's part of the shirt. It'll work really good.
For sure. There you go. Lots of options. The other Under Armour suit I had custom printed at fabricondemand.com, and it was very expensive. It was great. It looked amazing, but then I lost it. So for Shaq's, I was like, we'll use a shirt from the athletic store. Problem solved. Another option, go check these guys out. Go to Facebook and look up Snakepit Studios.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, these guys do custom dye sublimated suits. And as you can see, they're into the Batman as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if they do custom orders, but they do have a website, and you can go check that out. Actually, let's check it out together.
And while we're checking this out, Bill, can you explain dye sublimation in a nutshell for us?
It's like you have an inkjet printer that prints on paper. It's like that, except on cloth. Basically, as far as I know, that's how it works.
I asked because I don't even know. I mean,
but you can see they have some really great examples of all the stuff they have. They have some that are available. Let's see, Aquaman, Batman. They got all kinds of cool stuff. So go check them out. They have a whole bunch of different Batmans. Dark Knight Batman, Dawn of Justice Batman, New 52. They have some cool stuff. Go check them out for sure. Snakepit Studios.
Very cool.
Okie dokie. Next one. This is a good one for you to start thinking about there, Ben. This is from Dan. He wants to know tips for building a spray booth. Ben, what are you going to do about spray painting in your new setup?
I will probably do it outside. And I say that because fall and winter are coming up, and there will not be as much humidity in the air here in Birmingham, Alabama. So painting usually goes okay. In the summertime, I will probably do something like you did. I'll just drop some plastic from the ceiling in in a section of the garage here, keep the door down, and then just do it that way.
When I was working out of my garage, I put plastic in between. I plasticked off part of the garage right by the garage door, so I can open the garage door halfway and put a fan there to push the spray paint stuff out. Wear a respirator, do your spray painting in there, and then don't stay in that area.
Get your N95 out.
Yeah, if you're going to be building your own spray booth, like if you want a super legit looking spray booth, just be aware that it will eventually end up costing you a whole bunch of money. Go check out the one that Volpin Props made. His is really cool. For our solution right now, we have a room devoted to painting. It's got plastic sheeting to keep the vapors in there. It's got a window and a fan to vent everything out. I have filters so that I can catch all the particulate from the fan. It's not a perfect solution, but it's pretty good right now. But when we move to our next shop space, we will definitely upgrade the painting room to be safer and cleaner and better all around.
Hey, safety is a good thing.
It's pretty good. I do spend a lot of time down here. There you go, Dan. Good luck with your paint booth. Let's see here. This next one comes in from Isla. She's building a Nova costume for Halloween and having a hard time on the hand plate. How would you go about building it out of foam, and what thickness would you use? And she sent us a picture. Let's see here. We got an audio visual thing. There it is. That is pretty bulky. You're going to end up, I would start with using like 1/2-inch floor mats and do a lot of trial and error. It almost looks like a cast, and with just fingers sticking out of it.
Yeah.
So if you could build it like a sleeve that your whole arm just fits through, and then you could just stick your fingers out, you'd probably be okay. But planning where all the seams are is going to take a lot of trial and error, I think.
Yeah. And I would check out Evil Ted has a video on making seamless pieces, where there are seams, and it's pretty easy, and it's really good technique.
Yep, definitely. You may end up using a thinner foam, like 1/4-inch craft foam or 6mm craft foam around the fingers, just so you have a little bit more mobility there. But again, lots of trial and error on a project like that.
Yeah. And also, like, if you take that thinner craft foam and you heat it really good with the heat gun, you can just take it and work it in between and work it around, and it'll mold really well. That's what I did for my Destiny gloves. And I actually put ribbing in the top of my hand with foam, and then put that piece of foam over it, and then heated it on my hand and like worked it. And so you get that nice like texture looking, from that. So it works.
Very good. Very good. Good luck, Isla. It's gonna be a tricky build. I have faith you can do this. Alrighty, next one here comes from Thomas. He says, one of my next projects is going to be a katana style sword from an anime called Blue Exorcist. Do you have any tips on what to make it out of to make it rigid? Maybe MDF, he thinks? The problem with MDF is it doesn't have a wood grain, so over a long, thin piece like that, it has very little structural integrity, meaning it could snap.
Yeah.
I would go with something like poplar wood, which I have some right there, I promise you. You can get it at the hardware store in long sheets. It's got a wood grain in it, so you cut your sword along the length of the board with the wood grain, and that wood grain gives it structure, gives it strength. I just recently finished a sword from League of Legends, the Yasuo Sword, and that's exactly what I did. It's, I think, 1/2-inch thick poplar wood, and it seems to be pretty sturdy. You do other than the that bench leg that you're staring at right now, Ben, you do anything else out of wood?
I have not yet. All my woodworking tools are still in boxes unopened. So.
Cool.
I will be able to do that very soon, and I plan on making some foam weapons too. Just maybe some stuff just for kicks to give my friends' kids. Just it'd be fun, and they need swords that they can hit each other with.
Oh, of course. And foam is good for that. You hand them one made out of wood, they'll just knock each other's teeth out.
Yeah. Well, what I'm planning on doing is using like just some yardsticks from Lowe's, or maybe some dowels, and then just building foam around them, and then seeing what the kids can hit each other with.
Perfect. Thank you, Thomas. Good luck with your sword. Alrighty, we got another one here from Fearless Facade. He says, I don't suppose you have any pro tips on soldering. He's doing some, for the first time, doing LEDs for his Borderlands mask eyes. Any info would be great. Well, we know a guy who does Borderlands masks. His name is Stephen K. Smith. If you go look up, I can't remember if he's done a tutorial on how he does his eyes for his mask, but they're not too tricky. You do any soldering with your with the flashy lights you have on your what was it, your Stormtrooper costume there?
I did, yeah. So the Stormtrooper helmet is now all self-contained. It has a battery pack that's like, I think it's like 6 or 8 AA's that goes at the bottom of the helmet. And then it's got a cord, and I soldered in a wireless controller. So you solder that into the line, and it's, hey, look, it's messy. My soldering is not something that you want to take pictures of and show your friends. It's a lot of it. It's a big old bump, and I just wrap that sucker in electrical tape, you know. And then so I've got a little controller on it, and then and it just goes from that wireless controller in the helmet to the LEDs in the eyes, and they have a sticky back. It's like the strip of LED, you know, and I just put the strip right onto the lens. And I have a little controller that I can change the way it flashes and the speed that it flashes and the brightness that it flashes. And so when I'm playing the music at DragonCon, I can make the eyes do different stuff as the music, you know, with the beat of the music or whatever. And it ends up being pretty cool. But it was actually super easy. I mean, I literally soldered 4 points.
Right. Cool. What that wireless controller? Where'd you get that guy?
Oh yeah, so I got the wireless controller. I actually got everything from superbrightleds.com.
I've been there a lot.
Now the most difficult thing for that build is I put pressure sensors in the shoes, and I have LED strips to go around my shoes. So every time I take a step, it lights up like an old school LA gear.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was kind of tough because they're like the pressure sensors. First of all, they're $10 a piece, and so they're not cheap. But it's hard to like get the wire to solder it to that, and so I actually messed up on one. I had to buy another one, so it was like $30 just to get these things going. And so sometimes it's like if the pieces are really delicate, and you may have to do it over and make money. So
this is Super Bright LED's website, and I just looked up wireless controller. They got a whole bunch of cool stuff there.
Yeah, that's basically what you're looking at there. Is basically what I have, the one that's like $20.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's similar to the one that I had. Oh, I will say that the pressure sensors I got from Adafruit.
Yes.
They don't sell those on Super Bright LEDs.
Cool. Also, who is asking? Fearless Facade. Also, if you're looking for basic soldering tutorials, did I do a video on that? I have to check. Hold on.
You got so many videos, man.
I forget sometimes. Let me check my channel and do a quick search and solder.
Thank you for the comment on my hair. I'm trying to grow it out.
Let's see. I do. Hey, how about that, everyone? I was going to send you guys to a different video, but I have a video on soldering basics. I forgot that I made, and I'm talking right now because it's playing an ad for Budweiser, and then I'll go over to it. Oh, this is a fun little skit I did with my friend April, where I'm wearing my sweet Draugr helmet. Yay. Anyway, I'll put a link to this video in the show notes so that you guys can... funny guy.
That level up jacket, though.
We'll put a link to this video in the show notes, and you guys can go check out some soldering basics from Bill. But yeah, I will say it's a sort of thing where once you get your technique down and you're doing it correctly and you practice a lot, soldering becomes trivial, and the connections are better and they will last forever, as opposed to like only about a week, which some of mine
Just twisting them together a lot.
Yeah, like my Mass Effect armor has nipple lights, like you do,
Like,
and and one of the nipple lights, a week after soldering it and gluing it together, just that thing went out. It doesn't work. It has never worked. So there you go, Fearless Facade. Go practice your soldering basics with Bill.
I think we've said the word nipple in this little video more than any of the other videos you've done.
That's likely. All right, cool. This one comes from Dan. Dan wants to know that he's spray painting EVA foam that's been sealed with Mod Podge. Says, do I still need to buy spray paint that's safe for plastic? No, you don't. You can paint it with whatever you want, Dan. Go for it.
And I will say this about Mod Podge. I do things differently than a lot of people. I do not like to seal my foam with Mod Podge or Plasti-Dip, and me and Gary Crowd Jr. go back and forth about this, but I don't like that stuff because I always get holes poked in it at cons from people's sharp costumes or whatever, and I can't repair it. I can't like just go back over it with like Plasti-Dip or something. So I just put spray paint right onto the foam. I mean, it's heat sealed with my heat gun, so I feel like. And if you want, like, what I do is I'll take Angelus leather paint and do a coat of white on it, and then that way color really pops when you spray paint over that.
Yeah, that's a good plan. That's what I tell a lot of people too. Like again with my Mass Effect armor, I never sealed that with anything, and I've never repainted it either. It's just a dark blue color, and underneath it is gray foam. So if it wears through, it looks a little bit warm, but it's not very noticeable. Yeah, but you've already Mod Podged your foam there, Dan. You can paint it with whatever you like. I would recommend acrylics because they dry faster and they tend to be more flexible.
Painted with your own blood.
Yes, with the blood of the innocent. All right, another question here. This one comes from Downtime Props. Downtime wants to know, how would you recommend someone who is not comfortable in front of the camera and is just getting started gain some internet popularity? He just wants to get his stuff to get noticed. In your case, yeah, your work needs to speak for itself.
Hey, there you go.
It really does. You have to make things that people want to see, stuff that people might be searching for. So make something, let's say, from a popular video game like Destiny, perhaps, or what are all the kids playing these days? The Bloodborns and I don't know, but build stuff that people are looking for and build it really, really well.
And you may want to try to build something that like hasn't been built before or isn't built that often. And that way people say, oh my God, like, because, like Brittany made a Vex. Like, she's the only person that has made a Vex that I know of.
Right.
So when you see that, you're like, oh my God, somebody made a Vex.
Yes. Then people are like, oh, you got to see this. And then they share it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I made a Shax. I'm not the only Shax. In fact, I wasn't even the only Shax at DragonCon. Which is fine, which is totally cool. But I don't really, I'm not too concerned with building things that just to get noticed. I just built Shax because I think Shax is awesome.
Yeah.
Another good example, one that we did a couple years ago, the Draugrs from Skyrim. No one had done those. So you got to do, if you do something like that, that a lot of people connect with, and you do it really well, then it's going to hit the internet like crazy.
Yeah.
I find,
don't let that stop you from building something that you love.
Exactly.
Because like last year I built a samurai. It was Mitsurugi from Soul Calibur. And it's an older game. Like, not many people play it right now, but like I love that game. I've always wanted to make something from that, and so I made it. It didn't get a whole lot of attention, but I mean, I didn't really care. I was like, I think this looks great. I'm glad I made it. Whatever. It gave me joy to make it and wear it.
Yep, it really just depends on what your motivation is, and if you want to make something that gets you noticed, then make the thing that everyone's looking for. I'm trying to find a picture of you in your Mitsurugi costume, but I can't find it. Oh, well. I love me some Soul Calibur, though. I would be if I was gonna do that, I would be the guy with the nunchucks. What's his name?
Yeah,
Maxi.
that guy. Maxi, yeah, like it looks like Elvis. You do the Elvis version, bro?
Yes, that would be me. I run around with nunchucks and dance around.
There you go. You can have party nunchucks at DragonCon too.
Yes. Party everything. All right, there you go. Downtime. There's some advice for you. Next one here comes from Brandon. He says he's going to be making some Splinter Cell goggles.
Oh, nice.
What do you recommend? Oh, would you recommend 3D printing, casting, or some other method entirely? Well, the world is your oyster, Brandon. You've got all kinds of options. Whatever method you're the most comfortable with, I say go with that. Like, what would you build those out of, Ben?
If I had access to a 3D printer, I would do that, because you'll get them the right size and everything, and they'd be really cool. And I gotta say, Chaos Theory is in my top 5 games of all time. Top 5 games of all time. Chaos Theory, so good. You probably love it too if you like Splinter Cell.
I don't think I played that one. I played a couple of the Splinter Cell games, and I enjoy them. I like sneaking around, and I like shooting cameras at people and knocking them out.
Oh, somebody found a picture of my Soul Calibur.
Oh, yay! Boop, there it is. Oh,
man.
That freaking costume that guy made. I mean, yours is very nice, Ben, but that guy, I never saw that one in person, but that is such a good costume.
Yeah, Hugh, oh my gosh. He's incredible. So he wasn't at DragonCon this year, but all his stuff is just amazing.
Really, really great. Let me see if I can find that. But what were we just talking about? Oh, the goggles. Yeah, the Soul Calibur goggles. Or not Soul Calibur.
But on your Soul
Splinter
Calibur.
Cell. Splinter Cell. AxiomUltra Designs. That's who it is. This guy right here. Everyone go like his page.
Oh god, so good.
Crazy awesome stuff.
I think he works for who does Skunk Works? What is that?
I don't know.
Anyway, it's a aeronautical space, and he does like 3D design for them. So
oh yeah,
it's legit.
Yeah, I met a guy at a steampunk convention here. Really nice Canadian dude. He had these metal sword things that he designed and made that were extraordinary. I was like, oh, cool. Do you do this for a living? He said, oh, no, I'm an aeronautical engineer.
Yeah.
I was like, you keep doing that. That sounds like it's working for you. I would tell you right now, back to the goggles, I have a 3D printer now, and a lot of these parts for these goggles I would totally do on the 3D printer. It's here's a picture of it. It's very machined and intricate looking.
Yeah.
Some of the goggle parts I might do on the lathe, because I have a lathe. But also, you could do this all out of foam, too. You could totally do that out of foam.
Yeah, you could.
Got options.
Also, you could do it in foam, and I like to use it's not Centra, it's the other plastic. It's polystyrene.
Yes, styrene.
I love using styrene because it comes in different thicknesses, and you can just cut it with scissors and get those small details, and it glues really nicely with super glue to foam. So
there you go. Whole bunch of options, Brandon. Good luck to you, sir. All righty, we've got about a little over 10 minutes left here. We got a handful of questions. We'll keep digging through them. This one comes from William. He says, I just started playing around with cold casting, and it's amazing. It's going to do some 2-part molds for cold casting. Will the seam line possibly cause problems? You know it. It most certainly will. If I'm going to cold cast something, I limit it to a 1-part mold, because the seam needs to be perfect, because you can't fill it. Which I've done. I've done 2-part molds with. I have a box somewhere. I have a box of failed castings from a 2-part mold that was done with cold casting, and it was tricky. It's really, really hard because the seam line has to be perfect. So the good news is, if you do the 2-part mold and you can't get it perfect with the cold casting, then just cast a normal part, and you'll have to just paint it with a metallic paint. That's the way you'll end up having to do it. So there you go.
That's the way you do it.
Have you done much molding and casting yet, Ben?
No, I've never done a piece in my life.
Well, you ought to hop on that crazy train, because that's where all the fun is.
Well, I have a garage now, so I can actually do it.
Yes. Well, you let me know if you want to get into cold casting, because I've done a bunch of it, and it's really cool.
I'll let you know.
Alrighty. There you go, William. Good luck with your new projects. Let's see here. We got one from Russell. Russell says, I always have trouble sealing my paint jobs. The sealers I've used are either too glossy or leave a tacky feel. What are good sealants to use? What do you usually what would you seal your armor with, Ben?
I would not seal it.
Yeah. You just leave it bare.
I just leave it painted, yeah.
That's a good way. Usually, and I'll tell you what too, with if you do like a nice metallic finish, like a really nice metal paint, any sort of sealant on there is going to dull that shine a little bit. And I've been more and more lately, I've been in the same boat, just saying, well, then don't seal it. Just leave it as is. If you're getting it a tacky feel, it could be that the paint that you're spraying, the type of paint you're spraying on top of your other paint isn't getting along with it. If you spray a lacquer on top of it, lacquer should be fine as a top coat no matter what you have down. But also, most rattle can clear coats are pretty good too. But again, you might have some weird combination of paint that doesn't get along. Or just don't seal it. But here's another trick. You ready for this, Ben? You ready?
I'm ready.
If you want to get a nice metallic finish on something, spray paint it with a metallic paint, then spray paint it with a glossy clear coat. It's going to dull the spray paint down a little bit, but it will protect it. Then spray and again, let it dry in between each layer. Then spray that metallic paint on top of the clear again. Then you get that nice metallic finish that you like. And if it gets chipped, then it will just chip down to the clear coat, that protective clear coat with the metal under it. See?
Chip down. It's just gonna
layers.
Chip down.
It's all about layers like onions.
You're going deep.
That's right. But I'm with you, Ben. A lot of stuff I do now, I'm like, I don't really see the point to spraying a clear coat on top of it.
Not necessary.
No. There you go, Russell. Lots of stuff for you to try. If it's going to get handled a lot, like a prop that's going to be in your hands a lot, then you may have to worry about that. All right. This one here comes from our buddy Sam. Did you get to hang out with Sam? He was in the Destiny group. He had that bone armor.
Sam Booker.
Yeah.
Great guy.
He's a cool guy. Ben, what's the deal with all this Britney Shakespeare's nonsense?
I don't know. Well, so like somebody posted something about all these like actors. They were doing Shakespeare, but they were doing bad pop songs. And they would just do the chorus, but in a Shakespearean presentation. I was like, I can do that. So I did it with Britney, a Britney song, because she's like the first person I think of when I think of pop music. And so I did, and then I was like, oh, Britney Shakespeare's, and people, I don't know, they really liked it. And so I was like, okay, I'll do some more. And I try not to oversaturate the market. I only do like maybe once a week. And anyway, so people liked it, so I just kept doing it.
Where can people go to see this?
You can go to my Instagram feed. So it's Captain Amazing. So it's like Captain Amazing, but it's AH Amazing, Captain Amazing.
Right. And everyone watching should go follow Ben right now.
Follow my Instagram. I'll have more, and I'm gonna do other videos too, but I don't want to do too many because people's like, oh, I want one every day. I want one every day. No, you don't. You want one.
Well, I'm gonna go. For some reason, I'm not following you on Instagram, so now I am.
There you go.
And everyone else should too.
It's pretty.
If anything, just to see you do your goofy. Oh, here's a good one actually. Let's go back there. Check this out. Boop. Look at that haul at DragonCon. Yeah.
Sam's helmet's there, and you, and Stephen K. Smith, me.
That's awesome.
Brittany, everybody.
So good. So good.
So good.
Let's see here. Sam has a real question too. He says, I'm still new to molding. Would making a rigid prop out of something like Sintra or balsa wood and styrene be adequate for molding? He doesn't have any power tools for MDF. And I say yes, Sam. That is perfectly adequate. Those are all good materials.
Yep.
They are, especially things like styrene can make a nice hard edge that you can refine and sand and make perfectly smooth before you throw silicone on it. So I say, go for it. You got this. Make a matrix mold. It's easy. Whee! This is like 3 days worth of work.
Oy.
All right. Let's see here. We got about 5 minutes left here. And Neil wants to know, how much would it cost to make a cast for a prop? I can tell you how much this material costs, and I'll tell you how much the material, like the plastic and everything. So this mold here, the jacket is made out of EpoxACoat, which is an epoxy gel coat, and then EpoxAmite, which is an epoxy for laminating fiberglass cloth on there. So fiberglass cloth is like, I don't know, $10 worth of fiberglass cloth. The jug of EpoxAmite was like $100. I didn't use all of it. I just used a little bit. Same thing with the EpoxACoat. So I spent $200 and I probably used about, I don't know, 5% of the jug. So maybe like another $20-30 on the materials. And then the silicone, there's a lot of silicone in there. It's probably about $50 worth of silicone. So we're looking at a couple $100 of materials for all this. But also remember, it was, like I said, 3 full days worth of work. So whatever your time is worth on top of that to make all of the, to make it. And you'll probably mess up. So it gets more expensive there too. And then for this, the resin itself, again, a jug of it's about $100. And then we used a little bit of that to make all this. But plus all my time. Remember, all that time. There you go. But don't cheap out. Get the right materials for mold making. It makes a big difference. So when Ben gets into mold making, I'll let him know. Get the good stuff, Ben.
It's such an investment, though. I have to do everything on a budget.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I counted back there. There's like $500 worth of casting material. It's all urethane plastic, but there's different kinds of urethane plastic, so we had to get one of each.
God. And what's the shelf life on that?
When you open it and air gets in, the moisture from the air will start to break it down. So if your jug is pretty full, there's not a lot of air in there, then it will last a long time. If it's half full and you open it frequently, the air will break it down more. But you can get a spray that you spray in there that offsets all of the air and extends the shelf life of it. So as long as you make sure you don't leave it open for long periods of time, and if it gets low, spray something in there. I'll have to find a link to that. Smooth-On makes a product for that.
Now, if you get low, do you break it down?
Do I ever? I found it here. It's called Xtend-It. It's a dry gas blanket. It's a gas blanket.
Huh.
And you just spray that in the can there to offset all the moist air. And so there you go. That's what the shelf life is like. Well, but I can open one of those and use it a little bit, and I can keep that jug for a year or so. But it usually doesn't last that long in our shop. We usually use it all by then.
That's good.
Yeah. The major thing I found, if I'm casting stuff all day, if I take the lids off and I leave the lids off all day, that's bad news. Make sure you cap it. You hear that, kids? Make sure you cap it.
Put a cap in it.
In between pourings, just take the lid off, pour what you need, put the lid back on. All right. Hey, William wants to know, Fallout 4 is coming out soon. Ben, you excited about Fallout 4?
I'm going to change my relationship status on Facebook when that game comes out. You know what I mean?
Did you pre-order the Pip-Boy version like I did?
I did not. I couldn't get in on that, man. I missed out.
They went fast.
Yeah, it went fast.
Let's see. William wants to know, is there anything that you have seen so far from that you want to make? What do you want to make, Ben?
I actually haven't seen any of the weapons from that game. So I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. They've made them highly customizable.
Yeah.
Let's look at a Google image search here. So here's a really good example. It's a laser rifle, but you can customize it. You can like put other crap on it.
Oh, nice.
And that makes me excited in a way that's a little inappropriate.
I want to make a power fist.
Oh, that sounds pretty awesome.
So you can have meat showers, you know? Meat showers.
What is this? Look at this thing. This is like some sort of wacky giant thing.
Oh, it's huge. Good grief, look at the handle. It's like gigantic. Oh my goodness, that is incredible.
So it's safe to say that I'm pretty excited about the guns in this game.
Oh my goodness. Okay, look at this guy with the launcher here with the Fat Man or whatever that was called. There was a guy at DragonCon that had this. He had one built. Never seen it before. It was so rad, and he actually gave me some bottle caps, and I never got his name. I don't know who he is, but I want to be his friend on Facebook. That dude was super cool, man.
That's great. Here's the last thing. You need a spiked aluminum baseball bat that you can modify with barbed wire, nails, razors, chains, or saw blades.
This game's going to be the best. Oh, my goodness.
So, yes, I'm excited about that, too, for sure. Specifically, though, I have never made a weapon from Fallout. Yeah. So I'm obligated by law to make something from Fallout 4. I think it's going to be a baseball bat with saw blades on it.
That's what I was thinking.
And that's it. That is the end of the show, everybody. Hooray! We made it. We did it together. We did it with the power of friendship.
Teamwork to make the dream work, buddy.
Yeah. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fantastic having you.
My pledge.
Yeah. Everyone at home, go check out Captain Amazing on Instagram. Go follow him because he's a cool guy and he makes silly videos.
Word to Big Bird.
Thank you, everyone, for showing up to the live show, for bringing your fantastic questions. And we will see all of you guys again next week. So long, everybody. Bye.